Recently, I've been painting a series of minimal, expressive landscapes. I'll link a video at the very end of this one if you want to see my process and the step-by-step tips to create your own version of them. They're all created from imagination. They're very, very simple to make, and the possibilities are endless. Today, I'm focusing on one painting, and more specifically on expressive brushwork. When I work in a more abstract or expressive type of style, colors, texture, composition become really the focal point of the painting because there's nothing else to attach the viewer to. And obviously different brushes will give you different textures, but what I've noticed is that a specific brush has a specific quality that you can absolutely use in your favor when rendering a painting. That's something to really explore and have fun with, especially when you want to render different planes or texture for grass or a horizon line. That's the way I use it the most, for horizon lines. I like to shop at the hardware store for big brushes, or the dollar store even, to use commercial type of paint brushes. They give really cool textures, especially for horizon lines. So when I work in abstract and in large format, I always use those brushes. And by testing different types of brushes, stiff brushes, short bristle, long bristle, different kind of shapes and textures, I learned to kind of make them work for me. I like exploring each brush and what it could give naturally without me trying to force it in a certain way, and take that property that a specific brush gives me naturally and bring it into my composition. When I paint in a more spontaneous and expressive style, I obviously like things to flow naturally, and I don't have a specific idea of what I want to render. I kind of let myself be surprised by the medium I use, but also by the tools I use. For an expressive landscape like this, I would choose a color story, just a few colors that speak to me. I would lay a nice gradient as a background, and then use one of those brushes I was talking about to create a horizon line, or to create different planes in my composition. And that's where the dance begins. I often go very, very slowly on the canvas, and I look at what the bristles of the brush does, and without necessarily controlling it, I kind of let it do its thing, but direct it to where the pigment seems to create interesting patterns. So it's kind of like achieving a balance between being very spontaneous, letting the bristles of the brush do its thing naturally, but also directing it to where you see things are happening that are very interesting and could give a good focal point to your painting. And to do this, it's really not about the quality of the brush, how professional it is. This brush, I bought it at the dollar store. You can even experiment with like a lock of your own hair, like a couple of your own hair dipped in a more diluted paint, and just drag the hair on the painting, and that would give really cool patterns. Some people paint with actual hair. I know it sounds weird, but it's just to illustrate the fact that every tool you use can be a source of inspiration and has its own unique properties. and kind of exploring that and really observing what it does naturally will give you really cool ideas and will bring you in a direction you might not have gone to if you had a specific preconceived idea of what you wanted to create. This goes for tools that you're using in your painting, but also for the medium you're using. So watercolors react in a specific way. A piece of charcoal will give you something different and will feel different on the page. And for expressive and abstract works, I really enjoy immersing myself in those very little details as a source of inspiration for my work. And once I have those bold lines that a specific brush gave me spontaneously, I go back and I look at what I have on the page and I kind of go more into details to add on to that mark that I did initially. I usually use a smaller brush and I kind of add different planes and texture to my horizon line to kind of polish my landscape. That step is really fun. It's kind of like when you're young and you look up at the sky and you see shapes in the clouds, or in a wood grain you can see specific shapes. It's exactly the same thing. It's finding the shapes and the planes and the foliage within that spontaneous mark that the brush left on the paper. Abstract painting is a very vast subject to explore. There's composition, there's color, there's texture, there's tools and mediums and support. There's so many things to explore. Sometimes it's fun to step back and focus on just one element at a time and see what that can bring you. And as promised, and if you want more inspiration, you can watch this one next.